The Milk Round.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Milk Round, brought to you by Castlemilk Youth Complex. We are here on our YouTube channel, so if you can like it, share it, ring the bell for notifications, and get it shared as far and wide as possible. We need everybody to know about the Milk Round. So if you're on our YouTube right now, that's cool. And then if you can get us on any other social medias, and they are...
It's Facebook, it's Kelly Youth Complex Staff, Twitter, Youth Complex CYC, Instagram and TikTok are both youth_complex.
Oh, so smooth, so smooth. So we are here on episode 42.
42.
That is crazy, crazy. And we're rumbling up for a wee kind of almost something happening, eh? But we need to watch this space. So if you're a regular viewer, you'll know that we started this during lockdown, the very first lockdown. That's the lockdown OGs.
Yep.
So it's coming up for a wee occasion. So keep watching because good things are going to come about. So we're chatting about this new segment. So tell us a wee bit about the new segment, Chris, because I wasn't here last week.
It's just Lee had said he wanted to change things up a wee bit. So instead of going with a nice news, just like a wee talking point and just letting it kind of flow. So I believe you've got something to talk about this week, Chris.
Well, if it wasn't brilliant that Primark has opened up again, this is possibly one of the other best things that have happened.
Okay.
It is the Friends reunion.
Ooh.
The Friends reunion. It's been confirmed. Full cast. It's happening. They're all going to be there. There's going to be Rachel. There's going to be Monica. There's going to be Phoebe. There's going to be Joey. There's going to be Chandler. I cannot wait. I'm absolutely buzzing. Just a wee bit of a Friends fan.
I knew this. I knew you were quite into it. You know, you're kind of like it's that kind of element of I'm quite sci-fi geeky, and that kind of your kind of geek.
Yes.
Going on there, and I'm surprised that they've all confirmed as all their careers declined so much that they're like, right, give the money.
I think, to be honest with you, they've been offered it so many times. I think the money has just been getting up and up and up and up and up. So
was it a full series or is it a one-off? Or...
I think it's just a one-off, but then they're saying it's like just one season.
Right, okay.
So there's lots of whispers and I'm just excited for anything, but there's going to be Hannah's a cool guest, so if you're not a Friends fan, that's all right. There's going to be other big guests that are going to be in it. So David Beckham's going to be in it. How random is that?
Yeah, it's random.
There was a couple of whispers about who was the other one? The chat about RuPaul, but I don't know if that's going to be true or no. Don't know if people were just trying to merge two amazing programs together and like make this a beautiful baby.
Beautiful drag baby.
A drag baby. And there's a big long list of some of the people, which are a wee bit random, like special guests, but we'll see. Oh my god! And of course, your classic Janice. Oh my god! Right, so she's back. Do you like my wee version there? That was
quite accurate. You know what? I've never sought out Friends, but my wife right into it and watches it quite a lot if it's on thingy. So by proxy, it's kind of sunk in.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So Janice is going to be back, and Tom Selleck, who was Richard in it, who was Monica's ex at one point, he's going to be in it, which is amazing. But he'll be a fair age now as well.
Bring him in a wheelchair or something like that.
Oh, but I'm so excited. Me and my cousins went to the Friends Fest. It was like a few years ago, and it was in Queen's Park, and basically you got to go and like get a shot on like all the set. So you get a picture at Central Park and you got a coffee and whatever, and then you could go to Las Vegas and get married and like try on all the stuff, and we were just trying on the turkey hat and stuff like that. Pre-COVID, obviously. And then there was like the car, and then the water fountain with the couch, and then there was obviously the pivot scene where they had like this couch that was in this staircase, and it was like aimed and then you would just stand as if like you were pivoting. It was amazing. I have amazing pictures from that day. So I was in my glory.
It's safe to say you're a fan.
Smidgen.
So what would you give that out of 10, Kirsty?
Well, the fact that it's going to come back is absolutely amazing. So it's definitely like 1,000 out of 10.
Brilliant.
I'm a wee bit worried that it's going to be rubbish.
There's always that kind of thing when they bring something like this back. Now, the one thing I could point to that they brought back after quite a long time and was actually still good was still game.
Well, yes.
So
Yes.
There is hope, but generally speaking, statistically speaking, the statistics aren't in the favour of this being, it's...
And also, lots of the jokes and stuff like that was in Friends, they haven't aged well.
Yeah.
They've not been like, they're
There's
not really
society
appropriate.
does move on,
So hopefully they are like really funny and stuff like that. But there's been lots of things on TikTok about it, about how, people are saying it hasn't aged well, but in actual fact, they were kind of advanced as well.
Yeah.
So there's things where they're saying like Phoebe in it, she's calling people like a simp and stuff like that, and it was just, I was like, oh my god, that's crazy how language just kind of recycles itself.
I think I always like kind of point things like that when they say, "Oh, moving on," and a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you used to be able to say that," and I think like it's called civilization.
Yeah.
Because it's the civilness of civilization,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there we go.
So I am buzzing. So if I've got a shift that night, Chris, you need to be covering me. If anybody wants to phone me, they can go away. I'm going to be sitting there in my friend's jammies, with my friend's phone case, with my friend's covers, with my friend's cushions, just pure buzzing at my nut. I think I've got one of my friend's cushions.
Other merchandise is available of other
like
shows.
Home Bargains.
There you go.
Fret. It's upside down. Friends. Love it.
Yeah.
See, I could have been smooth and prepared that, but I never. So, move on to our next wee segment. What's on your belly and what's in your telly?
Well, I think what's in my belly this week is it's a wee bit fancy, to be honest, because the last few times I've went with kind of student food almost, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I ordered, or my wife in fact ordered this. Have you heard of the restaurant? It's Six by Nico.
Yes.
So they've got one in the West End and one in the South Side, and they do really a themed menu every month, and they're open for normal service again. But during lockdown, they came up with like the home version of it, so it's like you get it delivered to you.
So like a fancy meal.
It's basically a fancy meal, and you kind of cook it yourself at home, but it's pretty easy. It's kind of like, like Hello Fresh. It's kind of like a version of that in some ways.
Oh, right, okay.
Very fancy. So you do cook things kind of from scratch. Some of the stuff you just need to heat up. Some of it you don't. So we got that. It was Mexican, and it was nice, but it was very, very expensive. So I think it's one of these things that you would get for somebody as a treat for maybe even a birthday or...
Yeah, well, lots of people are coming in for their second lockdown birthday and stuff like that. So that would be a great kind of one-off kind of thing. So what was in the Mexican?
It was good Mexican. So it was like chicken tostadas to start, and then a flat iron steak with like different Mexican sides. Like elotes are like corn on the cob, but they've got like kind of like chili paste and sour cream and cheese on them. So it's not like it's a bit of a mess eat, that one, to be honest.
Well, maybe it's good you were eating it in the house.
I probably, if I'd been out, I'd have disgraced myself, to be quite honest. So refried beans, there was like a kind of side salad, and it was all quite fancy. The stuff is, when you go to the restaurant, it is quite fancy kind of outdoor stuff sometimes. So I'd probably, if I was going to really give an honest opinion, an honest review, I would say go to the restaurant, because it's a much better experience regards
And it's
you can
helping the
go to the restaurant
hospitality
now, so
industry as
yeah,
well.
exactly. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you can go to the restaurant now, and there's one in
Yeah.
the south side now. It's been open
Mhm.
for a while, so yeah, try it out. That's it.
Give that a wee
And
try.
what's on my telly? So I had a long break from the podcast, and I've realised that there's quite a lot of stuff that I've actually watched that I haven't even mentioned yet. So I'm going to mention one of the programs that is Marvel, and it's the Marvel. It's part of the new kind of TV shows. So what they did with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, originally it was like shows were based on other networks, and they kind of tied in with the films loosely, but never did the two cross over in any mean. Never did characters. So what they did when Disney acquired Marvel is they slowly but surely started to cancel each of the Marvel TV shows on other networks to wipe the slate clean in some ways and do their own shows. So this was the first, and there's already been another one. This is the first one. It's called WandaVision, and it's based purely in the character Wanda Maximoff, who's one of the Avengers. It's set after Avengers Endgame, so it's like probably, aside from the Spider-Man film, which was set after Endgame, it's the only other thing that's set that time
after it.
Now, for all those real Marvel fans out there, this is the disclaimer. It starts off a bit weirdly. It's not. It's done very uniquely, right? It's kind of done in the style of a 50s sitcom. The first episode.
So when you say uniquely, that's normally when I come in with a new haircut, Chris, and that's how you describe my haircut. You go, because that is unique, isn't it? Are you basically slagging it?
No, it's because in the actual fullness of time, it's really worth it.
Right.
So what kind of happens, and I'm trying not to give too much away. So like episode 1 is a sitcom in the 50s.
Right.
It's in that style, and it's all black and white and stuff, and the humor, it's kind of like Bewitched, that kind of style. So
showing our age there.
I know. So then the next episode 2 is a sitcom in the style of the 60s. And you tend to know what kind of goes on there. But each time in each episode, there's a small bit of actually what's going on, because you're a bit like, what's going on here?
Aye.
What? Why? So it's that reaction. So then it gives you just enough at the end of each episode to go, oh, wait a minute, this is interesting.
And I like a wee hook for the next one.
Recommend it. There'll be another one that I mentioned. There's another show that's based on 2 other Marvel characters that's already on Disney Plus that's just recently finished about maybe 3 weeks ago. That's very much more a kind of more like what people are used to seeing with that sort of thing. But I would highly rate this one, because it's just it does something a wee bit different, and it ends really superbly, and it ties in with some movie franchises that are coming up, and that so highly recommended from me.
So what's in my belly as you know, I love a chicken pie. Chicken pie is definitely my faves up there. My mum makes a dynamite chicken pie. But what I want to do is use this platform to tell the schools to give the chicken pie out again. I want it. I need it. They don't serve the chicken pie anymore.
In the school? They used to do a chicken pie, but they no longer do a chicken pie?
No, since COVID. No, I'm really upset about it because I love it. It's the white sauce chicken pie. It's dynamite. Bring it back. I'm going to start a campaign. Hashtag bring back a chicken pie.
But why on God's earth would COVID stop you?
Because they're not serving like open serving food. It's all like wrapped food.
All right, I see. Can you just put it in a bag or something? Or does that have to be
a chicken pie in a bag?
Well, it's better. Would you no rather have the pie than a bag than have
no, because then I'll be in my office licking a bag.
Well, not by the first time.
Well, I had a pizzini the other day on the cheese filling and I was licking the bag. So, if anybody's listening, gonna please just, one day, and make sure it's a day that I'm in. Just want to check by, please.
You
So
know,
that's it. That is my.
you could just go to Greg's.
No, it's not the same.
Okay.
It's special.
A bit like this episode tonight. Anyway.
So what's on my telly is I don't know if you've seen it. It's Schitt's Creek.
This is the second time this has been recommended.
Oh, really?
A former chairperson of the board, Mr. Charles Lang.
Oh, did he recommend that?
Did recommend this. So, but please,
it's so good.
Go on.
It's like a modern day Friends. And it's just brilliant, and it is the first openly pansexual character, and I was like, see, when I read that, I was like, nah, surely no, there's nobody else where there is no homophobic slurs, there's no making a point about it, it's just normal.
Yeah,
and it's amazing, and it's so funny, and it's the dad is in it, and he's from like the dad from American Pie.
Yeah, I've seen I think I've seen just
so
a wee bit of this. So
yeah,
I remember it is the guy from you're right. That's I was
so the guy from American Pie and the guy that's in the other guy that's in it, they two wrote it together, and they star in it. How amazing is that?
Yeah, well, Charles was highly recommending that.
It's so funny. So many characters in it that are just like, you can relate to characters, and then you're looking at people and you're like, oh my goodness, like the fashion sense of some of them, some of like the wee slurs that they're saying that are just hilarious. So give it a watch.
Nice one. So we have a guest, Kirsty.
It's been waiting about 3 years.
we normally say like, just wait 15 minutes. It's probably been about 40 minutes now with the power. Don't worry.
40 minutes, 2 power cuts.
I know. Let's admit him before he falls asleep or something like that. Okay, yes. So let's see if he's still there. Hopefully. Oh, please. Here he is. There's John. First of all, I need to apologise, John. We've already made kind of a point of it on air that's saying that we've had a few power cuts, but at my end, I've started the backup petrol generator, and we're doing great now. We're back on the action, so you're live as we speak. So thanks for persevering with us.
Is this the state COVID's got you into that you're
he's a Flintstone. He's using his feet.
It's the whole street. And it was just on off, but that's enough to switch my internet on and off. And it takes ages to kind of reset again. So I've got a backup system going. I'm hotspotting on my mobile phone. So hopefully we're all grand now. So
try to kid on, John. He's stealing the Wi-Fi. He's next door neighbour, right? And they've just done that.
Found out.
I said there she is.
Found out.
Fucking hell.
It's worth the wait.
So as we ask all our guests as they come on, we've just coming off the back of what's in my belly and what's on my telly. I know this is the episode of hell from this week. So what's in your belly, John?
What is in my belly? I tell you, Chinese chicken noodle soup, which I hadn't made in a long time, and I decided I was going to make it today, and I don't know if it was partly because I was coming on here and I wanted to make something. That's certainly what my wife said. That's the reason I made it. So that's what I had not that long ago, actually.
Oh, very nice. Did you eat it with one of the Chinese spoons?
No.
Have you ever tried one of them? You end up just getting it all the way down your chin and everything like.
I'm not very good at eating soup for some reason. I don't know what it is. I normally got to just use a cup rather than a bowl.
Slabber cabbage on the way down.
And I'll tell you one other thing that I'm eating constantly these days is waffles with poached eggs and brown sauce.
Or like a potato waffle or like a sweet waffle?
No, potato waffles in the toaster. Bang it down twice, and by the time it comes back up, your poached eggs already.
That's quick. I've heard about doing waffles in the toaster, potato waffles in the toaster. I've done it, and it's really convenient actually, because you think you spend ages in an oven trying to cook them, so.
Do you make them like a sandwich with your poached egg?
No, just
like on top of it.
on top of it. Salt and pepper.
You just
and
need to
sauce.
garnish it and kid on your salt bit.
I think
Gold star brown sauce.
you'd be inviting like disaster if you put a poached egg in between two bits of bread, Kirsty. It'd be like, you'd need to have a scoop bib on for that.
Well, I was thinking that because then, especially when like a waffle's like holy.
The holes are in the waffles, right?
So I was like,
it's
no.
complete disaster. So what have you been watching? What's on your telly?
I was on my telly. Well, I've just come back up the stair there, so it's probably had the same every night as the chase, the news, and then we're going to Escape to the Shadow DIY.
Oh.
And I'm a bit of a DIYer myself, so I like to think I could have took on a shadow and done it up, but whether I could have or no, I don't know. And
Where would you find the time?
I know. And what else? I watched that Ben Fogle last night. Ben Fogle in the Wild, I think it's called.
Oh, I have heard people talking about it.
Who sees that's quite good.
Is it good?
I quite like that.
Aye. I need to give that a watch. Somebody else was because I was always asked for new recommendations because I feel as if like I'm always saying things on this that I like, and some people aren't really into that, and then I'm like, going to tell me something new. I need something new to binge watch. Like Line of Duty's finished. What am I going to do with my life?
Well, that Wild thing is just basically people who've moved away from civilization.
Yes.
Built themselves cabins and just in the wilderness, so it's quite good. Quite like the idea of that as well.
Is it kind of like old-fashioned, as in like how do they like look after themselves, or is it quite futuristic? Well,
there's probably a bit of both. The lassie last night, she was Swedish. Was she Swedish? She was staying in Sweden, certainly. In fact, I think she was Spanish, Italian. But she was staying in Sweden, and she ended up living a kind of frugal lifestyle where she was, is it veganism, where she's getting into skips and stuff like that, where people have flung food out, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, God.
But saying that people fling a lot of food out, basically. So, that's what she was into.
I've heard of this thing. This is kind of on that subject. And that subject of people eating what they call the term high meat, right? And it's basically meat that's went off. It's developed bacteria on it, and they call it high because it gives people a sense of euphoria after they've eaten it. But in some cases,
euphoria. What is that? Is you're clenching your butt and running to the toilet?
Exactly. Well, it's one of these fad crazes. It's nothing like. I was reading about it and going, well, they're going out of their way to infect themselves with like food spoiling bacteria on the chance that it will make them feel. And it's it's right up there with some of the craziest kind of fads and all that sort of stuff.
I think part of that last year's thing was about just the amount of waste there is in the world. And you see that through obviously a lot of the kind of food initiatives just now, that the amount of food that people are kind of getting from different places.
So we're probably going to touch on that soon enough when we're talking about it, but I think we'll probably just start a few kind of questions with you now, if that's all right, mate. So you've lived in Castlemilk your whole life. How have you kind of seen the area kind of change over that time?
Well, it's been a long life.
Giving something away there, giving your age away.
Surprised that I'm 52 now. I'm an old guy now, which I can't believe. But in terms of change, obviously all the new housing is really good. I mean, when I grew up, it was just tenements and 5 apartments, you seen. So it's good to see all the new kind of different estates popping up. And obviously I've now moved up to Craig Road to the kind of new Bogany thing. I stayed in the same house in Cavan for 50 years.
Wow.
So I would say that the housing, there's a lot less schools.
True.
I mean, when I was growing up, there was going to be 10 primary schools with 3 secondary schools. And And ironically, obviously, we'll be talking about Barlia and the football pitch, but like every school had a football pitch, bar my school at St Bartholomew's, which was concrete, but I mean, it didn't stop us playing football.
No.
So it just kind of changes like that. And I think, looking about, I think kids and young people are less active than what they were in my day, and probably because Wayne's got taxis everywhere and buses. And I mean, I see Wayne's standing at a bus stop, like maybe 2 bus stops away to go to school.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Certainly for
I think definitely. I mean, I've worked in Castlemilk for a long time, probably since about 2003, maybe something like that. And definitely, there's a big difference in the housing, first and foremost, as you said. But I think, as you say, young people are probably less active, but probably some of the issues we deal with now are less severe with regards to. There was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of kind of violent behaviour when I first started, but not so much now, you know.
I was going to say that when I grew up, there was a lot of gangs and
territorialism,
a lot of more territorialism, and even on the kind of lighter side of territorialism, there was like your street would play another street a game of football. I mean, you would kind of do that, but I mean, growing up, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, you know what I mean, and 90s, and gangs was some bits were really rough. I mean, I can remember going up to Woorping, the old Woorping, at the old shopping centre, and it was a frightening place. You could actually feel it, you know what I mean?
So you've been involved in your community for many years. You're doing lots of youth and community work. So can you tell us a wee bit about that?
Well, I used to work in the youth centre down the road, which was superseded by the new shiny complex. I used to go to the youth centre as a young person, obviously, and I think when must have been in the early 20s. In fact, I probably had just had my Anthony was born when I was 23, I think. And no long after that, I was actually engaging with our Jim Fay, old Jim. He was still back then doing his detached youth work stuff.
Yep.
And I can remember, and he'll tell you this himself, I can remember saying to him, Jim, is there nothing that we can get going for kind of all right guys? Because a lot of things that were happening at the time, people were going to be in residentials and all different things, all the bad lads. And I think, well, I can get all of that, and I know why we're doing all of that, but as it went for us, we then applied to the area drug partnership or something. In 23 years, went and done a kind of football coaching badge.
Wow.
And I then realised you could actually get paid to, well, I was thinking, paid to play football, paid to coach football. And I thought, I'm going to get into this. And I went to Cardonal College. I'd done an NC originally because I'd left school with no qualifications. And then I'd done an HND in sports coaching. I was kind of still active in the community. We used to work for the mobile play team and just go round about the scheme and have bouncy castles, just goals and bats and balls and all that kind of thing. And I'm telling you, you could see they would just come over the hill and would set up shop, you know what I mean? That's when culture and sport.
I used to actually work for the mobile play team for Glasgow Life, well, culture and sport when it was that, and the southwest at that point when it was all muddled up, like Govan and stuff like that. I used to always think it was so strange. We would have like a big white van and then just do all these toys and play with the Waynes.
See where the tower, the
Julian
zone is. Well, that just used to be a bit of grass, and we used to set up there during the summer. Either between there and obviously Barlia had been built at the time, so I done all that kind of stuff. And when I came out of college, I ended up working for a youth project in Rockhill. And Rockhill again at the time was probably just getting over a hell of a lot of kind of problems within the area. It's a big drug problem. Coastal and Rockhill and stuff like that. And I became the sports worker.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, my first day I went to my work, I went into the local laundrette, and a wee woman pulled me aside and she says, "Son, if you value your life, don't take this job." And I thought, what?
Oh my. Oh.
I stupidly took the job. And it was one of the best things I'd done, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we had kids who basically probably didn't have many male role models,
Mm-hmm.
or even opportunities to take part in sport and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of it, we had them skiing. We took them to Maryhill Squash Club. We had them horse riding. We started a Saturday morning sports program that you get your breakfast at, and we ended up with 100 weigh-ins every week. And I think it's actually still going to this day. And that was 1999, I think we were doing that. So,
Wow.
and then for there, just probably kept doing things. And obviously, I went to work in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Was a health development officer. I like to think that I was a bit of a catalyst for the youth workers that are in the schools. When I got that job, to be fair, the two head teachers, when I went for the interview, could have been working anywhere in the city, and they asked for me because it was for the scheme.
Yeah.
That was a good thing.
Mm-hmm. They valued your experience and your knowledge as well. Aye.
Yep. Although we covered the whole of the south, so we had like 50 primary schools, kind of mind 11 secondaries, and probably about 40 nurseries or something. So my base was Castlemilk High and St Margaret Mary's, so that was good. And I used to go in there in the morning. I was like the oracle, and I'd go in and I'd let people who worked in the school know that who died locally, and
aye.
You know what I mean? You were kind of reporting the news.
A wee bit similar to what our role is in the schools, definitely. But your name is still on the telephone list for a room that you don't sit in anymore. So,
and what school?
Aye, in Castlemilk High.
In Castlemilk High. And latterly, there for about 4 years ago, I went back. Well, I didn't go back, but I'd done a degree. So I got my honours in community education, because I was doing a kind of new role in my work, and I thought I'll go and do that. And luckily, they accepted me into third year. So only 2 years and got my honours.
Amazing.
Class.
What?
Very impressive.
Came up for a wee boy in the scheme.
I'm still a wee boy in the scheme. I'm just a wee man now.
So Castlemilk Together, the Community Food Action Project, is something that addresses food inequality and food poverty in Castlemilk. It's something that became very prevalent during the kind of first lockdown, very visible anyway. Could you tell us a wee bit about your involvement in that?
Well, I think we'd kind of been involved through the football group with Castlemilk Together through getting funding for the summer camps. And obviously the kids get fed at them, it was highly popular. And then obviously we faced lockdown. There was no football. Our coaches weren't then going out, they weren't doing any of the holiday programmes, they weren't doing their Friday nights. And we were just kind of thinking, how can we help? Luckily, one of your funders allowed you to diversify and use a wee bit of money that you had. And I don't know if you know of it, all the shopping bags that were filled at the Geely, well, we were purchasing the bags. I was going into Iceland and buying 1,500 bags at a time. And the guys like, what? How many? So I was buying cases of bags. So for every 12 cases or something, they would give us 100 for nothing, because we knew the store manager. So it was like, I was 200 quid at a time buying bags.
Wow.
And I think I'm sure we purchased about 6,000 bags.
And that just shows how many bags that were filled with food and given out.
And that wasn't the only bags that were used, obviously, but that, obviously, you've probably seen the white Iceland one. So we were getting them. And the coaches then kind of took it that we were allocated certain amount of bags and addresses, and they would go and deliver them. So it was really good, and it just felt like we were helping. Because I think that was one good thing it has come out, that people genuinely wanted to help, and seeing there was a lot of other people out there who needed it.
I think it was amazing for the community to see when some of the pictures were posted about every organisation in Castlemilk was involved in it.
Aye.
Like there was no competition, there was no it was just like, what can we do to help? What can we do? I'm here. Everybody stood up and took action and helped, and it was just lovely. It was lovely to see.
I think it's also showed that, I mean, I work for the NHS for the health improvement team, but I think it showed that communities are able to do things themselves. You know what I mean? You don't need a big structure at the top for that to happen. And it showed that, although, again, through some of the engagement and conversations I was having with people through my work, I was able to get people that kind of energy support and get some money that way, and just having conversation with people. Yeah, I think in the first 3 or 4 weeks, I think I'd completed about 80 forums.
Yeah, aye.
Really
And the
good.
forms aren't easy.
No, I know.
Aye.
And because we had that relationship, and that was probably the other thing about the food, that we were able to identify some families that we know through our different activities that would appreciate and benefit from what was happening. Because we've seen how much they appreciated it during when we actually ran the football thing. So, and it was only progressively worse for people, wasn't it, after that?
Definitely. So you've mentioned a wee bit about the Castlemilk football, Friday football, as many people would know it. Can you tell us a wee bit more about like Barlia, where you are mainly based, and there's lots, it's like under threat of closing, and there's been you've been quite active on social media about it. So tell us all.
Well, I think the football project, Castlemilk Community Football, kind of came about when they redeveloped Barlia and put the new pitch down. That was about 2011. And there was a kind of a fear that local clubs and local teams weren't going to get access to it, because they were bringing in professional clubs and different things. So we thought, and that time, people were fighting each other for pitches. You know what I mean? You take a pitch over somebody else because you want the pitch of your team. So we kind of brought all the teams together, and at the clubs together. And at the time, there was about 11 different clubs. So it shows you, I know that football is kind of reduced, because I think we're only at 5 clubs in it.
And do you think it's reduced due to facilities and access, because it is so difficult?
I think there is certainly a lot of that. I think people have got other things to do nowadays as well. I think there's more activity that people can get involved with, you know what I mean?
You can play football on the computer and not actually get up.
Well, aye. So basically we got all the teams together and says, right, why don't we sort this out in terms of lets? Who needs it on a Sunday? Who needs a Saturday? And basically we gathered all that information, and we'd go on a weekly basis to the sports centre and give them the lets and say, here's the lets that we need for the community. Which it must have helped them out no end.
Big time. So you're advocating for so many football groups, and then ensuring that they definitely had a place to play. Aye,
and then obviously we also we've done all this stuff. There's always been antisocial behaviour at Barlia, and it's always been a hotspot. So like to the art murals and stuff, because the place was a mess.
Yeah.
And you know yourself, you drive into Barlia and it kind of looks all right. Although obviously you get sporadic kind of mentions and stuff like that, but the murals are good, and it's a better feel and a better environment in it for people to go into. And we also, the clubhouse, again, that was lying empty. And we got a bit of money to do up the inside it and make it kind of a useful space. And now that's kind of valuable. That's a valuable asset itself.
Definitely. So there's lots of conversations about Barlia not being opened, and it's not opened at the moment.
We've probably the past 3 years we've been kind of fighting against understaffing. Probably I would say a bit of neglect, because it's not a shiny, it's no Tory Glen, and it's no Scotstoun, and it probably brings in the least money. But when they keep, and again, that's another reason maybe for some teams chucking it, is if they keep saying, right, well, you can't play this Sunday, like they're telling you that on a Friday night, and offering an alternative, there's a pitch in Easterhouse or something. You think people are wanting to represent their community, to play football, and that's what's going on just now. And and you know, obviously, and I'm thinking somebody like Castlemilk Dynamo. I mean, they won 5 trophies 2 seasons ago, and they've not got a home pitch. With
It's crazy, isn't it?
with Dynamo and Castlemilk OBC both going to win their respective leagues a Saturday and a Sunday. Was that last year? The year before it must have been. And we were having to fight on the Wednesday to get the pitches opened. Well, these guys are going to win the league. And hundreds of people attended each of the games. And again, that's probably something they don't think about, what it generates in the rest of the community.
Yep.
And a feel-good factor, and you know what I mean?
And taking pride, think about all the young people that are part of these football teams. They take pride in where they're playing, and they're not going to mess the place up because they're going to be playing football next Sunday. So why would they mess it up on the Saturday or the Friday, you know?
So it's still don't know what's happening, and it's diabolical, to be honest with you. They were meant to all be recovering this COVID recovery. The place is now a test centre, which they created without any community consultation, as far as I'm aware. Which, in terms of the test centre, that's all right, but it shouldn't be to the detriment of a facility being took off you. And if we've got to live with COVID and live with testing, then let the activity happen and about it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We've got to still continue with our lives. And they're putting pop-up test centres all over the south. So and then they're coming back to us and saying, we just want to use the pitch. We don't even want in the changing room.
Don't need the building now.
Just put on the side. It doesn't create the correct environment in the vicinity of a test centre.
What a thriving community doesn't doesn't show.
It doesn't show that. It's the wrong environment, and thinking you're just now making things up. I mean, they've got a test centre, or the head one at the Gorbals at St Francis Centre, and it's in the middle of houses.
Aye.
How can that be a correct environment, but that football pitch, isn't it? It's criminal. It's about sharing that. Like, we're talking about how COVID and there's high levels of obesity causes a worse effect of COVID and things like that, but actually we're not supporting a facility to kind of tackle childhood obesity. Well, honestly, and even adults and all this stuff around about isolation, your mental health. I mean, suicide rates in Castlemilk are through the roof, as we know. And look at young males and all that kind of stuff. Guys get a lot out of going and playing football with each other, you know what I mean? Whether that's kicking a ball about for fun or playing with a team. And even, and I know loads of people who actually just go along and watch. There's a few kind of older adults who do every Saturday, every Sunday, you'll see them at the top of the hill, just looking down, enjoying watching a game of football in their community.
Yep.
It's exactly what you're saying there. I mean, when you look at kind of mental health has certainly declined over this pandemic. And one of the main things when you look at any kind of help guides about mental health, one of the big things is exercise, staying active and all that. And it's funny, we were also mentioning about some of the kind of football teams doing really well. That even penetrated into like the kind of young people cycle that come to the youth complex. They'd approached me, this is way back, to borrow some drums to take along to the match and stuff like that. And we're like, oh, I don't know if I can, get behind this. It's a really, really nice drum kit there, I want to take it apart.
But they're just touching on that. I mean, I think Dynamo took 3 buses away to the Scottish Cup final, and plus a load of cars. So that there's like hundreds and hundreds of people for the scheme, seeing them being represented and then coming back here. And the other thing is, the irony is that Glasgow is the host city for Euro 2020, the football. And 2 mile up the road, we've not got a football pitch. Or they've shut a football pitch. We have got one. They just decided not to open it.
So what is the current status right now?
I wish I knew. The status is that obviously Barlia was on the list not to be reopening, which wasn't an entire shock to us. And we have been kind of flopping around about the whole asset transfer thing for a few years. We did say we'll start off with the the clubhouse first, see how that goes, because we can't just dive in. And we've always said we don't want to be the ones to shut that place.
No.
But it's shut now, so we've kind of got nothing to lose. That's the way we're seeing it. Although we still believe that it should be the council or Glasgow Life who should be running this facility. But if they're not prepared to do it, then we've kind of not got an option. So we're actually due to meet them tomorrow for an initial discussion, but there's a lot of other stuff going on because of all the closures for the libraries and all the other facilities kind of thing that I think they're trying to put the blockers on this whole people make Glasgow communities. I mean, they're dressing up as community empowerment. If it was community empowerment, we'd have that place open just now. You know what I mean?
They need to address community sustainability as well.
And that's it. I mean, the place should be open. That's the bottom line, and has to be open. And that's what certainly I'll be going to say to them tomorrow. That there's no point in us looking in the future and them saying to us that you can get the facility once they're finished with it after testing, which could be the earliest, September. COVID's not going away.
No.
Testing isn't going away. So it's not going to be September. So are they telling us that we've just got to watch that place rot? I mean, look at all the good work that's been happening around about the woodlands, with the woodlands officer and all that. And we've been involved in some of that and all with the planting. I mean, the woodlands are thriving, which is brilliant to see. But then in the heart of them, there's a big multi-sports facility lying with the gates padlocked. It's ridiculous.
If somebody's watching this right now, John, how do they become involved in making their feelings known about the situation or supporting the kind of work that you're doing right now?
Well, I would say anybody who's got a grievance against Barlia being closed, and it shouldn't just be football teams, it's everybody. Because and that's the other thing we are looking at. We're actually been in the middle of a feasibility study before all this happened. And we managed to get 485 responses to a survey, which in itself is testimony, you know what I mean, what it means to people. And we would want that to be a real community hub. People shouldn't walk by Barlia. I mean, the wood path is a thoroughfare to get to the shops or get to the other end. And people should be able to pop in there for a cup of tea or whatever. There's meat spaces or anything. And so I would encourage anybody, write to your councillor, write to your MP, write to whoever you can, share the social media posts, which a couple of them have went really well. Frank McAvenny jumped on one of them a couple of weeks ago, and it was like 1,500 likes and 500 shares and all that, which I've kind of never seen on any of my posts I've ever done. So it's as about raising the profile, and that the bottom line is we need to get it open sooner rather than later, because you know yourself, if people see it being neglected, they're going to neglect it themselves. You know what I mean? They actually brushed the pitch last week. We were meant to meet with them last Thursday, and I got a phone call to say, well, they never met with us, they cancelled it. But the pitch got all brushed with a machine and all the litter picked up, and that hadn't happened in 6 months.
Wow.
And I'm no one for coincidences. But I would think that if we were going to go to that meeting, or if they had appeared at the meeting, that would have been one of our first things, that they're neglecting the place. How valuable an asset is to them, is it to them if they're prepared to let it go to the dogs?
That might be a good sign, hopefully.
Well, that's we've kind of tried to use the positive and say, well, here's hoping, and we'll see what they say tomorrow. But the last thing we did here was it's a testing centre, and they're saying we know it's a testing centre. That's fine. And any time I've been there, it's not been that busy. And so why can we not have the football and even encourage people to go and get a test?
Yes.
You know what I mean? If that's what we're kind of the government are saying, and NHS are saying that people should be testing regular. Well, see, once you're finished a game of football, jump in for a test.
Or before it, or
It's no, I mean, it's no rocket science.
But if you are wanting to get involved in football and you're like, oh no, Belair shut, there is still Friday football happening at the Mugger down at
that's good, are doing that.
Yeah, down at Drake Mire, is that right? So if you want to get involved, you can come down there and see some of the streetwise staff and some of the youth workers there. And if you're unsure about whereabouts, we can get some of the street team to meet you and walk you down, socially distanced, of course, and get you involved. And if you want to chat more about the services and how you want to get involved as a young person, because your voice is important as well.
Well, you know, I'm glad you said that, Kirsty, because I don't even play football anymore, and I've chucked it to climb hills and run and stuff like that the past 5 years or something. So I'm not doing this for myself.
No, definitely not.
And I always had football growing up, and I would like to hope that young people had somewhere to go and play, because it's not the way it was in my day. We could play football anywhere, as I say. We got them pitches. But I think nowadays people need a bit kind of structure, whether it's structured sessions or just somewhere safe to play.
Yeah.
Then we should have that, and it's a great facility.
Definitely.
It's opened.
Yes, aye. Here. Well, we're not going to leave it at that. We've got our classic milk round quiz for you. And I was thinking Chris Ritchie is the bomb at the quizzes. And I was like, oh, John, man, you need to help us out here. Like, I always look dead bad when I'm rubbish at the quiz, but I'm the quiz master of the day. Right. And I was like, should I do it on football since we're going to be chatting about football? And then I was like, is that fair on Richie? Don't know. Then I was like, oh, I'll do it on the Euros because I know we'll chat about that. Then I was like, oh no. And then I was like, do you know what should have been happening was the pub's been opening this week. So I thought,
doing pubs,
let's have a wee pub quiz.
Oh, for goodness.
Like a wee general, see what I did there? Yeah, thanks. Yes. I'm here all week, try the view. So just a wee general knowledge pub quiz. So we always ask our guests if you would like to go first or second. So what would you like, John?
I'll go second.
You'll go second, right? Okay, Richie, are you ready?
They normally go first.
I know.
And you know, I'm thinking that I've watched a few of these, and I'm thinking that if he gets one wrong, I can jump in, sure.
Yes.
Pal James Donor actually did that, and he did very well.
Well, do you know, I'm not the best at quizzes, but see the past ones I was watching with you, I was getting a load right, I know, and I'm thinking, I wish that was my week.
It's like when you watch The Chase and you get them all right, you're like, yes, and then you see the people going on, you're like, oh. Right, so we'll put you at the test, right? So Richie, you are first. Now I think these ones are pretty nae bad. I've not been too harsh on these. So Richie, what is the world's largest land mammal?
The blue whale. Oh no, it's not a land mammal.
Oh my God! John, do you want to sweep in?
Go for it. I know what it is now as well.
Biggest land mammal? Just the an elephant.
Yeah! Well done.
I messed that up because
I'm disappointed.
Blue whale is actually the largest mammal, but
yes,
not
mammal,
land.
Not
I never
land
listened
mammal.
to the question.
That's why I did it.
My plan's working.
She's at it. At it.
Right, John, it's your turn. Rio de Janeiro is a city in which South American country?
Brazil.
Yeah, well done. That's an easy one. Right, Richie, which Middle Eastern city is also the name of a type of artichoke? If I can say it right. Which Middle Eastern city is also the name of a type of artichoke?
Jerusalem.
Yes, well done. How did you know that?
Jerusalem artichoke.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
What? Like, I must have dog school that day. Right, okay. So it's John again, is that right?
Aye.
Yep, right, okay. So which sport is Silverstone most associated with?
Motor racing.
Yes, well done. Are these too easy for you, maybe? Okay.
That's not picking up Chris. Questions now, isn't it?
I was just thinking that there.
It's lovely. Oh, wait a minute.
I'm trying to make them more difficult. Right, Chris. The first atom bomb was dropped in which Japanese city?
Hiroshima.
Well done. Right, so Chris has got 2, John's got 3. Right, back to John. Okay, that sounds probably too easy. What is the main source of vitamin C?
The main source of vitamin C? Oranges?
Well, it's fruits.
Oh, well.
So I'll give you
I
the
would give
point.
him
I'll
that,
give you-
to be honest, because the question was a wee bit.
Well, blame Google then. Don't blame me. Sake. Right. Okay. So
That's
Chris,
how I would get vitamin C.
this is your
Yeah,
last
Roger.
question, Chris. But just winning.
That's my last question, did you say?
Yes.
So I
But
need to
you're-
answer this to stay.
You're not gonna pull it back.
Okay,
But
sure.
let's see. What is dermatophobia, the fear of?
You'll need to repeat that, Kirsty.
That is him. Right.
Dermatophobia?
What is dermatophobia, the fear of?
It's something to do with skin, maybe.
It is. It's the fear of skin diseases.
Mm.
Well, I'll give you the point for that.
Thanks.
I was thinking like, like you get moisturizers that are like Dermalogica and like that's what I was going with that one. Okay, well, John, you've won.
No.
Did you not get another question? No.
Sorry, there is. Sorry, right.
He's got to answer this to win.
Right, okay, that's what it is.
Lee's much better at this. Because I've tried to be quizmaster as well, John, and it's murder.
It's difficult to keep track. I'm writing it down and everything.
Quizmaster.
Right, okay.
To win the match.
To win the match, Notre Dame was famous for making what?
Nostradamus.
Notre Dame.
Nostradamus was
Yeah.
famous for making predictions.
Well done. Yeah, I never knew none of them. I don't know if that says more about me than it does you. Well done, John. You are the new milk ground winner.
Yes.
Getting one point. It was the question. I never listened to the first question well enough. I think we could have taken it to a tie break.
I think it would
Well,
have been.
But,
Yep.
but no,
Oh, no, the first time you've no listened to Kirsty.
Yes.
Well.
You're always patching me. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Anyway,
And-
thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for listening in. And we'll just do a wee run through of our social medias again.
So yeah, on Facebook you can get us Kelly Youth Complex Staff, Twitter Youth Complex CYC. We've got Instagram and TikTok, and they are both youth_complex.
So give us a wee like and a share, and if you have any ideas of any other topics, or if you want to be a guest, hit us up and we'll speak to you soon. Bye guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
The milk round.